The day I ran for office, I was fired from my radio job. And that was going to bring devastation because I still needed an income. I had to take a security job. I was doing 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. so I can campaign and work as a security guard. My wife and I would Instacart and drop off food. My daughter, we would all do this together until we made enough money to buy groceries that day. I go in, I file my papers. Half of them was family members. I take a picture, I post it on social media and get people direct message me and tell me, bro, half of the guys in that picture was in prison. I'm a real person. I'm more than a comic. I'm a dad that's challenged by their children being homosexual. I'm challenged as a husband, paying taxes for pay for stuff. My dad made us box to protect ourselves. I just remember and close my eye and throw straight right. Everybody knew I became an instant star. But then I heard the ambulance because he even hit his head, had convulsions. My wife challenged me to step outside the box and not be comfortable. So whenever I feel like I'm complacent, I always go back to that. I can be much more than what I am now because it was her cheering me on. You're much more bigger than you think you are. I know he loved me. He came out and supported me. I wish I could just say thank you. Because we never had that kind of relationship where like it was easy to say I love you, Dad. Love you, boy. Never had that. And sometimes I wonder how much different my life would be. Sad that now that he's gone, I miss him. I know it would make him proud. Like, wow, you're really fighting for people. It's a good boy.
Greater Good Radio, connect, learn, heal, and grow, is brought to you by Brain Gain Hawaii, a boutique executive recruiting, career development, and coaching firm. Learn more at braingainhi.com. Welcome to Greater Good Radio. Today's guest is Augie T or Augie Tulba, city councilman, or so I guess we'll say Councilman Tulba, Hawaii's most famous comic, Golden Glove boxer, professional athlete, all-around handsome bugger.
Last time we did this was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 20 years ago. That's pretty amazing. So when I see you
We're still alive.
No, when I see you started doing it again, I'm like, can I come back on and just kind of recap? Because, you know, at that time, you know, we weren't living through the internet. When I say that, like, you know, if I wanted to promote a show, I had to beg to just be on shows, radio shows, TV shows. That was the time. Now, you know, you do a couple videos and you're exploding and you're selling out arenas. Mm-hmm. You know, so it was a different time. So I appreciate what you did for me almost 20 years ago by having me on and talking to a different audience.
Did it make a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Of course.
Like what?
Your show was a different type of show. It wasn't the shows that I was doing. It wasn't, you know.
I think it was different than
comedy.
Everything else.
No, you were talking about business, right? You're talking about how to succeed, you know, and that's the kind of shows that, you know, somebody like me who was always stereotyped would not be on. So you introduced me to your audience, which I'm very thankful for.
All statements made on this comedy show are personal opinions and not the official endorsements by the City and County of Honolulu.
Okay. All right. So, you know, I had to beg Chaz if he could do that for me. Chaz is my morning radio show partner. I said, can you do one for a podcast? So, no, just keep one for comedy. That's it. At the end of the day, the disclaimer saves me and separates me from the city and county that I'm, you know, Augie outside of the building.
Well, then
become the council member. But I'm council member 24/7. And I'm always reminded by my staff that, you know, you hold a position that's honorable and you should treat it that way. So I played a disclaimer because at times, you know, I like say things that I like say. And it doesn't take away from the fact that, you know, I have strong beliefs and I like making people laugh still.
I always wondered, you know, back in the day, like who's listening to this? Because to gather like any data is kind of hard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, podcasting was brand new. It was like the first month of podcasting. Nobody even knew what a podcast was. Never have iPhone. Never had web video. No social media.
And I think the only people that was doing, you know, video in a radio station was you and Tiny Tadani, I think, at that time. And at that time, we never have social media. So, I had to call radio stations, ask if I could be on their show to promote my comedy shows. At the big morning show, on TV, and it was tough. Well, when you called me for Be On, I was like, of course I researched. I said, oh, this would be good because it's totally different from what I'm normally doing, right? And it introduced me to a different audience, which is important because I think the people that come to comedy shows are unique kind of people. They're very well-rounded. You know what I mean? They understand that, they cannot take life serious. So your show was about, business and all, and you had really important people on. I felt very honored, to be a part of the show. So when I saw you started doing this again, I was like, I gotta call Evan, see if we can do a recap so I can let him know that at that time, I was just there, typecasting me as the local guy that came on radio shows and did did all the characters, did the Mahu voice, did the Filipino voice. They could do all these different characters on radio and be funny.
So you ever had somebody say, I saw you on that, or I heard you on that? Oh, yeah?
No, that's why if I never thought that nobody's watching your stuff, I wouldn't ask, hey, you think I can come back on or what? It captured a different audience. Maybe somebody who saw me, or maybe saw the first DVD and maybe was interested. I want to know what this guy does outside of stand-up comedy. Because a lot of people don't know. I'm a dad first. I love God. And I work hard. I always had a day job. So, it was kind of cool to just talk about like how I put all of this together, and it introduced me to a different audience. Because for so long, I was just typecast.
Okay.
Right? Even when I did radio shows in the past, they would like put me on certain stations because they thought I would only reach that demographic. And I'd be so offended by that because I think we're much more bigger than this, right? But really, you guys gonna do that? You guys gonna typecast and stereotype? And I get it.
So have you
many
found,
beefs probably radio?
Have you found it different then? Like, where's the validation that beyond that? And
winning the election.
From your campaign, like
Yes.
what was the most memorable?
That's
walking
right.
when you were walking the
Yes.
neighborhood,
Yes.
knocking on doors.
Yes.
What was the most memorable
Okay.
experience you had?
It all comes together, right? Being well-rounded for the last 30 years, being a comic, but I think doing shows like yours, people understanding that, I worked for Mayor Billy Kinoy, and then I worked for the Lieutenant Governor, Shan Setsui. People kind of saw like, oh man, maybe he's much more than a comedian, right? But because District 9 was so different compared to what's now, I had parts of Eva, Waipahu, Kunia, Waikele, and Mililani. So at that time, my campaign manager was like, I think we got to work hard in Mililani because Mililani, a lot of working class, haole, Japanese. And I was like, I looked at him and I go, dude, you better change that thought or I'm going to fire you today. Because I've done more shows out in Waihiwa in that area and it's packed and it's everybody. But what was awesome and what made it really real for me is that I walked up to this guy's house and knocked on his door and this haole guy came out. And I thought, oh my God, here comes a confrontation, right? He looked at me and he go, I'm going to vote for you. And I went, how come? I go, because I've watched your career for 20 years and I don't think you're ready to break that distrust between you and I. Because in comedy, that's all truth. That's your personal truths coming out. You're being vulnerable to an audience, right? And that day, I was like, the 30 years of comedy has been validated. That I did what I'm supposed to do. Go on stage, be as honest as possible, make people laugh, but also show the human side to it. That, I'm a real person. I'm more than a comic. I'm a dad that's challenged by their children being homosexual. I'm challenged as a husband. I'm challenged as a person paying taxes for pay for stuff, and I'm pissed off. So, yeah, it was very validating that day. And after that, man, there was no stopping. And mind you, it was just before the pandemic. So I had to change things all around once the pandemic hit. I had to campaign differently. And I thought I was going to lose because my opponent had a lot of money. And I knew like my power was going to be door to door because I still believe in this one-on-one, looking each other in the eye and being truthful and letting that person know whether you agree or disagree that this is how I think. And we've lost that, I think. I mean, that's why there's so much divide in our nation. That's why you saw an attempted assassination, because there's so much divide. We've lost this, like, it's okay if I have your opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool, but let me explain to you why I feel this way. And there's always going to be a common ground. But no, it's just so real polarizing. And it's sad. It's sad. But that's the time that we live in, and I hope it'll change one day.
What is it that you kind of sit there sometimes and go, man, I wish they would ask me about this, because this is an area where I'm so much more, or I have so much more depth than people assume.
No, I think I've shared my life so much with people and about my challenges that, you know, I think I've covered everything. Maybe through interviews in the past, oh, I should have mentioned this, but like, you know, I stay on the narrative. I grew up in public housing, you know.
Which are KPT?
Comfort housing.
Comfort.
Yeah, okay. So I grew up in public housing. My mom was a special education teacher. My dad was a rubbish man for the city and county, but he only went up to the 4th grade, you know, and education wasn't really pushed in our family. It was just work hard. You work hard. If you like go school, find a way for go school, but like work hard and you will get somewhere, yeah? And, you know, I ended up being a teen dad. You know, I had to learn how to manage my life, but at the same time, provide for my family. And it's because I saw my mom and dad work, you know, I did the same thing. That's all I did was work. And, you know, comedy was a dare. I always loved comedy. I saw comedy. I saw Andy Boomerton. I was in the 4th grade. I knew I wanted to do comedy one day. I went out, did an open mic. The guy at the...
How old were you?
Oh, gosh, maybe 29.
Oh, so you waited from 4th grade to 29.
Yeah, very bad. Because you know, in high school, I wanted to be...
Wait, 29? I remember seeing you at the stadium before.
Yeah.
When you wasn't 29 back then. Because it was a high school football game.
Oh, yeah?
And was watching it. You said, hey, how's that? Anybody from like town? Anybody from North Shore?
You sure?
Anybody from Kalihi? And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah. I go, oh, okay, good. I get right then.
Yes.
And that
I
was,
also said you have the right to remain silent or something like that.
Yeah.
Was that the Great Aloha Run?
I don't know. Was at the stadium?
I remember I did the stadium one time and I hated that gig. But then I would do whatever I can to get myself out in public because never have social media, right? And I knew I was going to win some and maybe lose a lot. But yeah, maybe between 26 and 29. How's that? Because everybody asks me, you know, I get my years mixed up. So I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to go to the Olympics.
I'm not trying to fact check you. I remember seeing you young.
Yeah,
like I was, or maybe I thought I was younger. Maybe I was old.
I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wanted to fight in the 88 Olympics. Mad. And then I wanted to turn professional, you know, fight at the highest level. That never worked out, you know. So I worked at Kapiolani Medical for 16 years. And somewhere...
Wait, when you say it never worked out, like what does that mean? Like you just realized at some point?
Nah, the boxing game, it wasn't as exciting as it was when I was growing up. So it kind of dwindled and died. And couldn't make money. Only way to make money is if I had to go fly away and, you know, fight somewhere else. But I own a young family and that's not what I wanted to do.
How many kids did you have then?
One.
Oh, so you had one?
Yeah.
And he was fighting.
I was working at Kapiolani Medical. And I couldn't give 100% to the boxing. So there's a picture on my wall in city council on my last professional fight. And when people come in and ask me, hey, what is that? Oh, that's me in the black trunks. That's my last professional fight. I put that picture up there to remind me that I got to always do things at 100% because that's the night I quit. That's the night I said, I'm not boxing anymore because I couldn't give 100% to the sport. So I quit.
You made that mental decision
Yeah.
after the fight or sometime during the fight? Oh,
well, I got knocked down a couple times too,
Oh.
which never happened, you know. And then I was like, I can't do this. You got to give 100%.
Or you get hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mind you, I was working at the hospital. So I'd work all day, right? And then some days go home, rest, and then hit to the Blaisdell to fight. And then wake up the next day to go back work. So, it was a difficult life, but, that's something that I chose to do. And I wanted to make sure that I provide for my family, but I couldn't give 100%. So I quit. And then one day I went to the comedy club in Waikiki, and my friends would like dare me for tell a story. And I went up, told the story, and then the guy was like, I don't understand anything you're saying because I did a real pigeon, but you come back. And that was it. That was the start of my comedy career. So it's been almost, 31 years now.
And how was it? Did you feel like you did good that night, or
Oh,
was people laughing?
It was the best high in the world, because speaking in front of public is still people's worst fear, right? And I couldn't wait till Friday come again so I could get back on stage. So yeah, it's been a memorable almost over 31 years.
So when's the earliest memory you can remember being funny?
Maybe fourth grade. After I saw Boomatai, I started buying every album because I sold papers. So I'd go to the Chris store and look for comedy, which was hard to find. But I found George Carlin, found some Cheech and Chong. Then I discovered Booga Booga, and I went, oh my God, right? And then Boomatai. Whenever I get the chance to get on stage, 6th grade, I won my talent competition, did comedy. 8th grade, I won the speech contest, did comedy. And every time I got a chance to like perform, it was something to do with comedy.
When's the first time you remember like saying something and people laughing and me going, oh, kind of funny maybe?
I could do impersonations. I can't do it now, but when I was growing up, I would do like, Muhammad Ali. I would do Howard Cosell. I would do like Scooby-Doo, right? So I would do like, Scooby-Doo and Howard Cosell doing one interview, and my family used to sit around and laugh. And then I would take jokes that I heard from like, Keke Kaumanua, and I would do it because my dad weren't comedy fans, and I would do these routines at like family gatherings, and people would and at Filipino parties, it's just a Filipino thing. You gotta sing, do magic. And my dad was like, Augie, tell some jokes. Yeah, I was young.
So you think that was one of the things that made your dad proud?
Yeah, because my dad wasn't the most loving guy. He was I always tell people there's two
types of... Or the most
of,
expressively loving.
Yeah, well, there's two types
of
what? Filipino man. There's the angry Filipino man, and there's the happy, horny Filipino man. My dad was the angry Filipino man. And maybe a little horny too. But, hard to get his affection, hard to look him in the eye, couldn't have any kind of conversation growing up. But he came to every one of my fights. Yeah, he came to maybe one or two he missed, but he came to every one of my fights. And when I lost, I heard it all the way home. And when I won, nothing. And then with comedy, he came to every comedy show, big ones. He always was in the front row. He never said he was proud of me, but I think his actions showed, which I'm very thankful for. Because my dad was like, towards the end of his life, he had dementia. And I learned more about my dad the last 10 years of his life compared to when we were growing up, because he never shared anything. And, he would say stuff because he moved in with me, and, we'd have coffee, and then he would tell me stuff like, I was in jail, He was in jail. Yeah, I was in jail for a long time. I had no idea that my dad was in jail.
How he was telling the truth? Or
he was, because my dad was 38 years old when he met my mom. My mom was 18. So the time where he was a young man to meeting my mom, I would hear stories. But yeah, my dad was a bad kid. So he was proud of his children, I think. And again, he never said it, but because he came to the shows, I knew like Pops was happy. And I got to take them to some cool places because we grew up poor, what I mean? First time I took my dad to Princeville, 5-star resort. And I just wanted to look at my mom and my dad just so blown away, like, wow, this is not the pagoda, Augie. That brought plenty joy to my heart. It made me feel good inside. Like, I knew I was doing something good for my parents.
So when you decided you wasn't going to be a fighter anymore, how old were you?
I was like maybe 22.
And then that's when you said, I'm going to do comedy?
I was thinking about it. Took some time before I said, yeah, I'll go jump on stage and do an open mic.
And what did your dad say when you said you was going to run for a city council?
Oh, my dad passed away.
Oh.
My dad passed away. When I decided to run for city council, like almost 5 years ago, I was just kind of tired of like everything that was happening around me. Like my mom and dad worked hard all their life, but they couldn't afford one place and provide medical for my dad. I was like, how is that even possible? So they had to move in with me, which is okay. But like, why is that? You know, and my kids, how are my kids gonna live in Hawaii? So, you know, it became very passionate for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I noticed as I'm listening to you talk, right? It's that boxing is kind of one area where you felt connection with your dad, right?
Yeah.
And so is comedy.
Yeah.
So that's why when I asked on the city council piece, but you say he's not here, but if your dad was here, what do you think he would say?
I think my dad would have been the most happiest guy on the planet. I don't think he ever considered any of his children running for public office, yet alone like city council or representing a big district. We have over 168,000 people in the district. It's bigger than a state representative and a senator. It's a big district, right? You're one step away from mayor, one step away from even governor. So I think my dad would have been like, wow, you know, it's pretty cool that my son is doing this. Because my mom lives with me. My mom would go outside and hold signs. She'd go outside by herself.
I saw her at your comedy show.
Yeah, so put this all together. I go in, I file my papers, and a bunch of people come. Some of my family members, some of my close personal friends, but half of them was family members. I take a picture, I post it on social media, and get people direct message me and tell me, bro, half of the guys in that picture was in prison. And I go, you're
was
right.
the friends half or the family half or whatever?
Family half.
Oh.
And those family members, bro, they came out every day to hold signs, to walk, because I feel like that was their way of saying, I apologize for the things I did in my past. I got a family member that I'm supporting. And it's like a way of like almost saying sorry. And I think my dad would have taken it that way. Do whatever it takes to make sure that you succeed at winning. So I have cousins, brothers, you know, people that did bad things in the past out there. Hey, my cousin would call me up every morning. Hey, where you at? Let's go. He's out at 5 a.m. waving. Dedicated, right? Because somebody in their family doing good, you know, and brought plenty of pride, I think, to my family, you know, my personal friends that know me, that know more about me doing other things besides the comedy. So running for office really helped me find who my real friends were. Like, Evan, I did 30 years of comedy. I probably performed at some of the biggest venues in front of unions, developers, all these people, right, that I had good connections with. They would hire me yearly, that never came out supported, you know, or endorsed. So you get to see when you run for public office who your true friends are. And it's basically the same people that you're friends with growing up, that they never leave your side unless, you know, you have broken relationships. But man, it was so heartwarming to see, you know, my cousins, my brothers, you know, and we're now a close-knit family. But to have my family around, holding signs for me, knocking on doors, man, it felt good. It felt good, you know.
So what was the most memorable or emotional story you can remember from that time? The one that's the most meaningful to you?
I think the day I won. So a lot of people don't know. The day I ran for office and submitted my paper and got sworn in, I was fired from my radio job. And that was going to bring devastation because I still needed an income. And they would say stuff like, oh, he's doing that because, you know, he's running for office. No, I never quit. You guys fired me, which was kind of uncool because I was told, don't worry, we got your back. Meaning, go run, because you cannot be on air. We got your back. So I thought, I'm solid. Maybe I can go sell. Maybe I can do other things in the studio and then have an income and still be able to run. Nobody. These guys fired me.
After they knew you won or before?
No, this is when the day that I went and submitted my papers to run for office.
Oh.
And I was like devastated. I've never gotten fired from a job before.
And that's not company policy or something. It was just a decision.
I don't know. They just told me they're downsizing, right? And I was like, I got to go put on my big boy pants. But I remember the night before just writing letters to people who I felt like made a difference in my life. I thought that day was going to be the most amazing day. I come in and I get, can you see me in the office? And you walk into an office and you can feel the doom and gloom. You see the HR person standing there and I'm like,
uh-oh.
Well, you guys gonna fire me? And I promise, the guy that did it, I was like tearing up. Because he was leaving too. The company was taken over by somebody else. And I was like, wow, really? And then I just remember walking to Honolulu Hale to go submit my papers.
He was forced probably to do it.
But I remember and they had a clause in that paper that they gave me. I don't want to go too much into detail, but I was like, take that off. I'm going to walk to Honolulu Hale. I'm going to make my speech that I'm running for office. When I come back, I want that part off.
Oh, you had to sign a paper?
They wanted
to
me
get a severance.
Yeah, saying, no severance.
Why you got to sign on paper then?
There's some things that you cannot do if you get let go. You cannot be on air, for several months.
Oh, it's like a non-compete.
Non-compete. So I told them to take out the non-compete.
But why do you have to sign anything if you're getting fired?
No, that's why. I was like, dude, you guys taking away my living, and this is what I do. I do radio. So you're going to take away radio from me. You're going to fire me so I cannot be on radio for 6 months. I'll take this out.
How was that then? Because you were there for kind of a long time, right?
Yeah. They called me. Can you come do afternoons? So I did afternoons. I'm not going to say which station because I don't like trash people. Mm-hmm. That's not my style. Come do afternoons. So it's not like I was going after a job. They called me. Come. And I was done with mainstream radio. I had a bad experience. I went on a radio station. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's stupid. Lots of BS. So my friend called me. He became the general manager. I said, yeah, I'll do it. The ratings started going up. I said, we'll put you mornings. And I said, well, I'll do mornings, but it has to be done this way because of my time. I said, yes. So, we're doing morning radio. I'm thinking I'm making money for these guys. The guy that hired me leaves. New people come in. Then I started seeing like, oh man, this is not the same place again, right? So I gave them heads up that I was going to run for office. I was passionate. I'm going to do this. I have some time. Let me figure this thing out. They said, yes, we'll support you.
Oh, they said that?
Yeah. So that when I, made that announcement, no one knew that I just got fired. I just got fired from my radio job. And I never tell people because I don't like nobody feels sorry for me. You know what I mean? But I just remember telling my wife. And my wife was like, how are we going to do it? And mind you, I just told everybody that I was going to stop doing shows. I just did one show, at the Blaisdell, done. Mm-hmm. But oh my gosh. So I started calling my sponsors. You guys okay? I got to go back do comedy. I lost my job. And then the pandemic hit. Lose all my gigs. So no more job. Pandemic. Cannot do comedy. And I'm running for office. My wife is looking at me like, what you gonna do? I go, man, I told people that I'm passionate. She said, yeah, I think you gotta run. We're gonna make it, don't worry. So when I won, man, I've had many blessings, winning the Golden Gloves, being a successful comedian. But when I won this election, it gave me some validation that I did things correct the last 30 years. I was always respectful. I worked hard. And the people said, okay, we trust you to be our next city councilman for District 9. That night, Evan, I was winning a small percentage. My brother called me. Ernie, he goes, "Are you going to win?" "You sure?" Yeah, but yeah, look at all the guys standing in line. It's all the guys that come to your show late. But here's what happened. So I had to take a security job because I still had to put food on the table. So I took a security job. I was doing 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. so I can, campaign and work as a security guard, bro. So I can get a paycheck. And I'm very thankful to Securitas for hiring me during that time. I had to go take security guard tests, but that's the only jobs had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's humbling, bro, to get paid a little bit more than minimum wage to be on security guard. But I had to do what I had to do.
Was the election close?
Yeah.
Like how close?
Like over about 1,900 votes.
And how many people voted in your guys' district?
Oh, man. I got to go back and look at the numbers.
When you was coming into it and stuff, were you kind of the underdog?
I was always the underdog. Go look at all the comments, things that people said. You know what I mean? Like, so it was very validating to win, and I was going to prove people wrong that I'm much more than a comedian. And I hope I did. And, bless, man. No one's running against me in this election. And that's a gift from the people. That's them saying, we love what you're doing. Go do it some more. So I get one more term, and that's it, right? Only 2 terms, which is good. I think should have term limits so that you get fresh ideas, new perspective. Because government is made perfectly for us. It was made perfectly so that you and I can live harmoniously. But years after years of adding different laws, pretty soon we get fat. And the only people that lose on this is the people that following the laws. They're the ones get punished. Because every time somebody does something bad, we got to change the law for that. If that person just followed the rules, followed the law, no more. I get people, what you gonna do about the illegal fireworks? It's illegal. But who gets punished? The people that was doing it correctly for years. I always tell people, what I've learned the last 4 years being in city council, government is like a 56-year-old overweight guy. Every day I wake up, I go, today I'm going to run, and I never do. I'm going to eat better, and I never do. Because if I'm not kept accountable, I'm going to just keep doing the things that I normally would do. So I think we've been doing things one way for so long. We don't like accountability. What would happen if we were transparent and we were held accountable? Maybe things change. So, we're in a hole, pretty obvious. And sometimes coming out of the hole is, we take humility, saying we messed up.
I was hearing some stuff as you're talking right there, which is interesting to me. What I heard was that in the past, you stopped doing boxing, which you was at pretty much the highest level.
Yeah.
Right? Because you said, if I kind of do 100%, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right? When you signed your papers to go into office, you was the underdog.
Yeah.
So you have to focus full on.
Yeah.
If you had a job at that time, doing radio and then moving around and so on, then doing other things, even the shows and all that, that's less time you can spend. That's less time you can focus.
It's a big difference. I wanted to run for city council because I looked at the charter, right? Doesn't stop you from doing anything that you love doing besides serving your community. And it's a 24/7 job. But I looked at the description and I went, I think I can do this. Because everything that I've done the last 56 years on this planet is because I wanted to do it. And when I say commitment with boxing, it's a sweet science. You gotta eat, sleep, and breathe boxing, and I couldn't. So I picked that approach in everything that I do. Even with the city council job, I wake up thinking about my district every single day. The cool thing is that I have an amazing staff around me as support, right? They're answering calls. You call my office, somebody's picking up the phone. You know what I mean? We need one beautification. I'm there. I'm not just there for take a photo. I'm there cleaning. I'm there involved. You know, go to neighborhood board meetings. But it still don't take away from the fact that I still can enjoy doing what I like doing. Even with comedy, I tell you, I feel like I've watered down my act so much that it's not edgy anymore. It's because I've become more empathetic. And that's okay. It's a sign of the times. It's where I'm at in life. I am more empathetic, you know, because I love people, you know, but I still think there's a lot of dumb people that I need to talk about. That's comedy. When you see something dumb or stupid, you talk about that. But I'm very empathetic. I love people. I want to make sure people are taken care of. But I can see how, you know, my comedy has watered down over the years because, you know, you hear the criticism. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Don't say that, you know. But with government and being where I'm at right now, I have an amazing staff that helps me through the process, right? And they know I'm dedicated. So
what I'm saying is that there's no doubt you're dedicated, you can work hard. That's your normal pattern. But what I'm saying is that, you know, when you get fired, which sucks, right? Because like, oh, bro, what am I going to do now? And then pandemic hits, like, oh, what am I really going to do now? And I got to do all these things. But then when you look back on it, you go, oh, I never have that stuff. It was taken away from me.
Yeah.
So I got to focus everything I got on this campaign.
Yeah.
Right? Gives that extra kind of push. It's not pleasant. It's not
the hardest
fun,
thing. It's the hardest thing.
but kind of a blessing a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe,
No, I tell anybody, if you decide at some point to run for office, you should do it. Because if you want to get the pulse of your community, you want to know what's going on. It's nothing like talking to people, knocking on their doors, looking them in the eye and go, what's your concern? You know, and you got to explain why you run, you know. And I did that, but I also had to take care of my family. So I would do whatever it took. Even if it was being a security guard in the middle of the night, I did it because I had to take care of my family too.
So when you were a security guard, was there something about that experience or maybe a moment in that experience that kind of helped you through or you never want to forget?
It's humbling. You know what I mean? I was like, gosh, I cannot even do radio now? Never thought about that. Like, wow. I always thought that was going to be okay. I was going to get one job. Always going to be able to provide for my family. Man. And I would sit on that cart that I had to go around with for hours just thinking, my life sucks right now. But I'm thankful and grateful because it's going to change. But man, dude, there are nights where like I went, how did I get myself to this point?
Would you trade that?
Right now, no. Yeah. Because it brought me back to earth. Maybe I'm not the superstar radio guy. Maybe I'm not the most funniest guy in Hawaii. And it brought me back to earth, which I'm very thankful for because I can connect with people, you know, that's making ends meet, that's challenged by life, homelessness, in debt, trying to raise one family, trying to put food on the table for one family, mom and dad working. Man, my family and I, we did Instacart. So my wife and I would Instacart and drop off food. My daughter, we would all do this together. So I learned
during the pandemic.
Through the pandemic.
Yeah.
So get some days.
I mean, you were the driver. You were the delivery person.
Yeah. So when I wasn't doing the security guard job, I was off. We would Instacart until we made enough money to buy groceries that day.
And what would people say when they see
I would
you
have my
delivering
Vote
their
for
stuff?
Augie t-shirt. So I would only take the districts that I was running. So I had people who voted for me because they saw me deliver groceries to their home.
They came and told you that?
Yeah.
Like, what did they say?
After the fact that I won, they said, I'm going to vote for you because I saw you delivering groceries. I'll wear my Vote for Augie t-shirt because that's the only way we could campaign. And there's some great people, some supporters that, you know, a red Kia with my face on top, and I would drive around because you couldn't go door to door. I would just drive around with my Kia, people outside, just, vote for me, don't forget. So, you know, supporters that paid for my face to be on that car, did all these things. I couldn't afford to send one mailer, bro. That's how bad it was. But we worked hard prior to the pandemic, and then I had to change the way I do things was very humbling, got me grounded again, got me thankful. That's why I love being in the city council, because I know that the working guy in my community is having a hard time. And we got to lead by example. Government got to lead by example so that we can change the perception of government right now. Nobody believes. People are upset. People don't trust. And I'm just the everyday guy that wanted to make a difference. That's all. And I was in the right place at the right time. And that was me losing a lot, and it brought everything together. So when the guy is saying, Augie, I'm having a hard time, I go, dude, I know you're having a hard time, because I'm having a hard time right now. And I'm thankful for that, because I thought I could do it. I thought I could, balance everything out. Things needed to be taken away, so that I think God was teaching me a lesson, because I had planned it like, okay, I still can do radio, I can campaign, I'm going to slow down on my comedy gigs so I can meet people on the weekends. But I was okay. I was all right. So long as I got my radio job, my morning job, I'm good. But I get taken away.
If that lesson from God was put on a billboard, what would the billboard say?
Don't doubt. Gosh, so how many times you've doubted?
So like have faith?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't doubt. Have faith. Because you got to trust your instinct. And I've done that the last several years. I've learned to trust my instincts. I've learned to listen, because there are many times where I compromised so much. Once I compromised, and I doubted, done. And I can give you many stories like that, where like I compromise because of certain things. When I say compromise, if somebody offered me a little bit more here, I would take it, even though I feel like,
Like for one job, you mean?
yeah, oh, gosh, this is ugly. But I did it because, the money, not because I trusted my instinct. You be at some place that you love being at. And right now, man, dude, I'm having so much fun doing radio. I'm learning so much at council. I'm working hard at council. And then once in a while now, I pop on stage and it helps me with my mental health. Man, I'm having the time of my life. I'm working harder now at 56 than I did at 40. But I'm doing it because I love doing it. At 40, I was compromising. I was doubting. I wasn't trusting in God. I was trusting in Augie, not listening to my wife, not listening to friends, and never do anything for me. So now at 56, doing things that I love doing, listening to my wife, trusting God, not doubting, man, it's helped so much. And being surrounded by good people, I have good staff that challenge me, right? You sure you do that? And, I listen, because that's what they went to school for. I get people in my office that went to school for policy, being a lawyer. You got to trust those guys. That's why you hire them. You trust those guys, right? So all those crazy things that happened the last 56 years has got me to this moment where I believe everything happens for a reason. I'm a lot more better listener than I was in my 40s. So it's a different time.
So now you can be on radio again?
Yeah.
While you're running, you can't be on radio?
Yeah.
Or
So
how
if
does that
someone
work?
okay, I got to be off air. If not, I got to give you equal time. It doesn't mean that you let me go. There's other things you can do on radio. You can do production. You can go sell.
Oh, only during campaign season,
Yeah,
though, right?
during campaign season.
Mm.
So if somebody ran against me, I got to go off because I got to.
Yeah.
But you got to believe that you're an asset to someone. I believe that I bring something to the table, and these guys know that. The company that I work for know that. So that's why what happened to me 4 years ago, I wasn't valued. And that's okay. That's okay. Because in my head, I never be there anyway. I wasn't happy. I was just worried about the money. So that's why I said everything happens for a reason. Check this out. The station that I'm working for right now is paying me less than what I got from where I got let go. But I wouldn't leave that station because I love being there. It's a big difference. And I tell my staff, I tell people, you cannot be at one job that you hate being at. It's the worst So ugly and so come to work because you love being there.
So why do you love being there versus the other place?
I think they understand my value. They know that I'm having fun. When you listen to the show, you know that we're having fun. Two 50-year-old guys just trying to be funny, entertaining you, playing the greatest music ever made. You know, it's music that I love, that I grew up listening to. So it just makes sense. You know, they would have so supported me, I know, 100%. Because I know my value. Again, it's not about the money, and I understand that now. You know, so I'm in a lot more different place than I was maybe just as much as 5 years ago. So running for office has taught me a lot of things.
So after city council, then you're looking at doing other public service like that, or not more politics, or who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very thankful that the people of District 9 Eva and Waipahu have faith in me. They gave me a gift to serve them on second term, but I don't know where. I don't know what God has in plans for me. I think it's going to be known, and when it does, people will know because I'll tell you.
I saw something about your daughter doing a nonprofit on like mental health and so on. What is that?
It's called Brave. She's in London right now with my wife. I was supposed to be there with them.
I mean, for that nonprofit, she's in London?
She won the Princess Diana Award for anti-bullying.
Oh, wow.
So she started this, you know, when she was 13 years old. She's now 24, flight attendant for Hawaiian Airlines. But she started this nonprofit, Brave. Brave is an acronym to be respectful and value everyone. And you talk about working hard. Man, you know, people doubted. This little girl started a nonprofit, but it's grown 11 years. She's won all these awards, and, you know, we passed Bill 52 in the city to stop bullying in the city parks and at the rec. So, you know, it all came about because my daughter started a nonprofit, Brave.
So what's the story behind that?
She was bullied when she was young. She was in pageants, and her pageant friend insulted, teasing, said mean things. And then we noticed a change in the way she was doing things. And my wife and I kind of just spoke with her, found out what happened. That's why her and I did this campaign about parents, like, get involved. I know it's tough now because the kid's so disconnected, but you need to find out what's going on. Why are you sad? Why are you happy? You know, you got to find out. You got to talk to him. And after talking to him, realize what was happening. So, you know.
Was it online bullying?
No,
person?
it was in school.
Oh.
It was in school.
From someone else
Classmates.
in the pageant?
Yeah.
Or just everybody?
Classmates. Yeah.
And what would
But it's amazing how, like, you know, once the child knows that as a parent, you got their back, no matter what, man, how they change, you know? And so we say, you want to continue to go there? And she's like, I'll stick it out to the end of the year. And then she wanted to change schools. But she already felt like mom and dad took care the problem with, like, understanding me, protecting me, keeping me away, helping me, you know, through the process. I was okay. And she learned a lot from that. So she wrote a book called It's Okay to Be Different. And it's about a minor bird that makes friends with an owl. You know, birds of a feather stick together, right? One minor bird wanted to befriend the owl, but the other minor birds would gang up on that minor bird. But at the end, they find similarities through just kindness. And she did this when she was 12, 13. It was all, she drew the pictures, and they published the book. So she'd take the books and go read it to elementary school kids. Pretty soon, you know, middle school, high school. She couldn't do the middle school because she was still in school. So she would ask me. And I never like be Frank De Lima. I never like go to schools. I never like do the things that he was doing. But she was like, you have a great story. You should tell your story. You can help Brave. So I would do middle school and high schools, and it grew.
Tell your story. What you mean your story?
Like, help her in this. Because I was bullied too. And I tell this story a lot. But I never imagined that my daughter was going to grow this foundation to the point where it's at right now, where she had to pull me in because she was too young to go talk to middle and high schools. So she goes, you know, you're famous. You should tell your story. And that's how kind of the start of where I started thinking about maybe I can run for office, because I started doing talks in schools. And then Mayor Billy Kinoy saw my daughter's program and said, I have this problem in the schools over here. Can you come? I'm going to hire you. I'd like you to do this on the Big Island. So I did Brave on the Big Island. And I watched how he led. And I went, man, maybe I'll go for office. And then soon after, the lieutenant governor called me and said, yeah, I'd like you to come work for me. And I was like, man. And then my daughter told me one day, you should run for office. I think you like running for office. Because I started asking all these questions. How come kids are not eating correctly? How come things are a lot worse than when I was going to school? She said, well, you should make a difference. I mean, people know you. You have something to say. You should run for office. So if it wasn't for my daughter doing Brave, I probably would have not run for office. Because I never liked be fighting anymore. I never liked going to schools and share and, make you laugh. I just wanted to do comedy. Mm-hmm. But as I started doing these schools, man, I started getting more empathetic. And that's why I said it's watered down, because I went through all these different stages in my life. While I was being a comic, I was talking to students and I was looking at the environment and how things are so bad. And I became so empathetic that I was questioning everything that I write. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. Which is so bad, because people come for escape, to laugh. But I became more empathetic. It was harder for me to write comedy. It was getting harder.
So what was your story?
Well, I was the biggest guy. My mom and dad are under 5 feet. So my dad made us box to protect ourselves. So in the 7th grade, I was in class, talking story with my classmate, and this Samoan guy spit sunflower seed in my face. He was way bigger than me. Could have taken me out. But I was so mad, Evan. I was like, me and you right now. And all my friends were like, dude, you're going to get lickings. You're going to get lickings. But I just remember, I closed my eye and chose straight right. Pa! Down. Right? I ran to my class. I was like, I can't believe it. I was like, Hawks. Everybody knew, I became an instant star, right? But then I heard the ambulance, because he even hit his head, had convulsions. So because I said, we go outside, I was like, let's go fight. I could have just gone, okay. But I was so mad, let's go fight. Then he wanted to fight, of course, because he thought he could beat me up. But I ended up winning. But then he never went to the ground, and he got convulsions, right? And then I remember my dad coming over to the school, and the counselor said, the boy died. Your son would be in jail right now, detention. And I was like, wow, that's serious. So I share that story with kids, because there's another guy, another famous comedian, right, that got picked on a lot, got bullied a lot in school, and never really expressed his anger. Was mad, always mad. He told me this story while we was in Las Vegas. And he said, some years later, those guys that was picking on him in school, he said he learned how to do karate. He took martial arts, because he knew that maybe one day he gonna get to see those guys and he gonna beat them up. He was successful on Porsche. Everything was going good in his life. Then he got on call. Hey, you know that guy? Stay over here, McDonald's Macau. So he drove all the way to McDonald's Macau because he wanted to beat up that guy. And then a little boy, a son, said, oh, that's the guy on TV. And then Andy said, Bumatai said, why gonna beat you up? You're already beating yourself up. Because he never make nothing of his life. You don't win if you defend yourself fighting, or you don't talk to somebody and you hold your anger in. You don't win in bullying. You gotta go get help. You gotta go talk to somebody. Don't take things in your own hand. And I tell kids that a lot. I thought, oh, that was enough. I'm gonna defend myself. And if the guy died, I would have had one record. If Andy had just spoken to somebody to get the help he needed, maybe he wouldn't have been so angry for all those years. Wanted to get back at that person. So that's the story I tell. Like, if you're being bullied, like, go tell somebody. Parents, if you know your kid's getting bullied and the kid is getting assaulted, getting picked on, call the police. Put the kid on record. The kid that's doing that. Get it in writing. Get it on record. It's important. It's important, So we advocate in the schools. We let them know. Go and find someone that you trust and go talk to them. We also tell kids, you got to stand up for your friends. Most kids don't. They all say they do, but most kids don't, And it's just advocating. That's all it is. You just have to advocate in hopes that, we'll learn to be better people. We'll learn to be respectful no matter what. You got to understand that, man. Is it worth fighting? Is it worth hitting somebody and that person hits his head on the ground and dies or critically injured? Not worth it.
For the guy that hit his head on the ground, you ever find out what his kind of background was?
Yeah, he was a bully.
But
everybody knew he was
He must have been getting cracks at home or something.
That was it.
You know what I mean?
He changed school.
Oh, yeah?
Everyone came back. It's embarrassing. He lost to a small Filipino guy.
But you figure, people don't hurt people, right?
Yeah.
He got some stuff going on. He got that anger inside him. He's
Never
expressing
knew
it out to
nothing about
somebody
him.
else.
All I knew is that he was a troublemaker. He wasn't going to cause trouble to me today. And he did it in the past. That's why it was easy for him to spit the self-love scene.
So that was over and over again.
Yeah,
and
it's just that I was done. And I became this guy for a long time. Oh, no, go fight with Augie. Get fight.
So before that, were you the guy that did everybody pick on you kind or not even?
No, I was friends with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like, like my friends all knew that I boxed. But like I was the coolest guy to hang around with. Ask my friends.
So you wasn't really the guy getting bullied too much then?
I just was tired of him bullying me. And
Mm-hmm.
So I told 2 stories when I talked to middle school kids because I wanted to think about stuff before they do something. Like there's ramifications, right? If you're being bullied, and you lose your self-confidence, you got to go talk to somebody. Nobody should live like that,
I remember a comedian at one point, I don't know if it was Chris Rock or somebody, that said that comedy comes from anger. I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting one. You see that too, or not necessarily?
I think comedy is a reflection of society and how the comic feels or responds to situations. I grew up poor, so when I was starting out, I would always talk about being poor, right? And then as I got kids, I started talking about my family and the challenges of my family, so it's just a reflection of society. What's going on that, you can make light of. So that's what I think. I don't know how Chris, where he gets his motivation from. I get mine from just watching people and watching the news, some stupid stuff. Again, I got to be more careful because of where I'm at, and I'm very aware of that. But when you do something dumb, that stuff needs to be exposed.
So what's some context about your early life that would give us the best kind of understanding of who you are today?
I was poor, parents worked hard, and I was driven to become somebody.
Why?
I think boxing taught me some amazing lessons in life. Never got to travel until I boxed. And my boxing coach said, you have talent. My boxing coach was Don Sark. And he's like, if you're the first guy in the gym and the last one out, you can do something with yourself. Never understood what he was saying. I was like 13 years old, but he kept instilling that. If you're the first in the gym and last one out, you say this to everybody, you're going to do something in life. And it's not always about winning. Like, what are you learning in your loss? So I learned more about life losing than I did winning. I can never remember like the greatest matches, but I can remember the matches that I lost and how brutal it was, how I felt going home, because I get more victories than defeats. But in those defeats, I learned so much lessons. So when I go and I speak to kids, I tell them, do your homework. Wake up every day. Don't wait till somebody to tell you to do something. Like my dad never had to tell me, go run. Like I woke up and after watching Rocky, I tried putting the, the raw egg Did it once. I never do it again. But never had to be told to go run. Just ran. Never had to be told, go to the gym. I just went to the gym. And I got to see things that most kids in my situation, can't afford housing, never got to see. Never knew that my mom and dad was doing all these fundraisers to give me that opportunity. I'm very thankful for that, for boxing, because it taught me some really great lessons in life. And that you gotta train, you gotta work hard, and in your defeat, what have you learned in your defeat? What can you change to make you a better person?
What's been that greatest defeat that you think has made the biggest difference for you then, or the one you remember the most?
Had to be my last professional fight, because I was giving up something that I did since I was 12 years old. I knew it was done already. Here's a fun fact. That guy that I fought works for the city and county. So I'm the chair of parks. So I went around, look at the different parks, and I saw this county guy sitting. As I was walking by, I go, hey, the place looks awesome. Thank you for working hard. So me and my chief of staff, we walking around. Then we walked back to where he was sitting. He goes, you don't remember me? And I go, no. Frankie Bautista, the last guy that I fought. I said, you the guy that made me retire. So now he follows me. He knows that picture is on the wall in city council. But that was the last one, because I love boxing. And I knew, like, if I'm going to walk away, I got to walk away. I don't need to come back. What's the use? You can't make money. There's no reason for it anymore. You got to take care of your family. But it was a sad day, because I just love the competition. I love the smell of the gym. You know, I love the hard work and training. So, yeah, that was it. That last fight, a good reminder that you got to do things 100%.
So how was that when you seen him then? And you just realized, oh, this is the guy.
No, it was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, no hard feelings. I mean, gosh, you know, it's one thing about combat sports. We both trying to train as hard as we can so we can knock the heads off each other, right? And we got to respect that. You know, the best man will win in this. So, you know, hey, and get guys that hold signs for me that I fought, that just volunteer for hold signs, which is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I get this one guy, Edwin Guillermo, that comes and he holds signs for me. I was like, man, every time I saw your name pop up and we had to fight, I'm like, because that guy punched like a horse. That guy, every time he'd hit me, I'm like, oh my gosh.
So did they come out for you too because they remember you from back then?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, which is awesome. You know, like, I made my little mark. You know, that's so cool that people go, dude, I remember when you was fighting. I'm like, oh, right on. It's pretty amazing when people come up and they remember you from boxing. And that's, jeez, I'm 56.
So what's the thing you learned the most from being a teenage dad?
That you should never be a teenage dad. Like, now, when I talk to kids, like, be responsible. I'm like one of those kids that got lucky because I was driven, but not everybody's like that. And my life would have been so much different if I wasn't a teen dad. But my life is this way because I was a teen dad, because it taught me to be responsible at an early age, right? It taught me to really work hard because I wanted my son to have the best. I wanted him to carry my name. Some of my neighbors who continued to live in our housing and had kids and just stayed that way. You know, I wanted to give him every opportunity. I grew up fast, never got to enjoy the things that most high school kids enjoyed. And that's okay because my son is awesome. He's 39 years old. You know, we have a cool relationship. In fact, I'm interviewing him tomorrow, you know, in our little talking story with Augie, and we're just going to talk story. You know, he grew up with me and he taught me how to love, you know, because when he came out of the closet, I talked about that in my comedy act. It was a very difficult time for me. And through that honesty, you know, I get people like Kalani Pea that talked about how that DVD changed his life. And I have guys that walk up to me that wanted to kill their kids because their kids came out and they saw the DVD. So, through all of that, there's blessings. But I tell kids, just be responsible. There's no reason for you to be a teen dad in this day and age. It's hard already. Just be responsible. Wait. I was very lucky. I got to work at Kavialani Medical, got to take care of my kids, medical. I was able to make enough to rent a place. But, like I said, I was lucky. It's because I always felt like God was watching over me. Yeah.
So if you could only have one memory and you can forget everything else, what would be the memory you would keep?
Wow, that's a tough one, dude. No one's ever asked me that question because there's so much great memories. I think when my wife challenged me to step outside the box and not be comfortable, we were sitting in a cafe in Burbank. We just got through watching Jay Leno. And she was like, you should send your tape to the Tonight Show. You should think really outside the box. And how driven she was to make sure that I, do things that was going to be so different. So whenever I feel like I'm complacent, I always go back to that. Like, I can be much more than what I am now. Because my wife just challenged me to step outside the box. That was a good moment. It was her cheering me on. Like, you're much more bigger than you think you are. This is from a person who already smart, so much different from me, speaks in complete sentences. And that conversation in that cafe was so moving.
So if you could only give your wife one last message, especially like something you've never maybe told her directly, then what would it be?
I think she knows that I'm thankful. I think the biggest thing would be sorry, honestly. Sorry, because in the years of doing comedy, working hard, there are many times where I get this distorted of what it means to go 100%. But you got to go 100% with your family. So my family in some moments was neglected and I wasn't there. So it would be sorry because I missed all those times, did dumb things when she was always there cheering me on. And instead of appreciating that, I got selfish thinking, I got to do much more, so much more. I could have done better.
And then if you had one person you could say something to, alive or dead, who would it be?
Probably my dad.
What would you tell him?
There's so many times where, I wish he would just give me a hug. Even though, like I said, I know he loved me. He came out and supported me. I wish I could just say, thank you. Simple. Because, we never had that kind of relationship where, it was easy to say, I love you. I love you, Dad. Love you, boy. Never had that. And sometimes I wonder, if he did that, how much different my life would be. Sad that now that he's gone, I miss him because he's not there. Seeing me at the council or seeing the things that I'm doing now that I know would make him proud. Wow, you're really fighting for people. It's good, boy. Because my mom and dad had it hard. So, just thank you. Man, that's supposed to make me cry, dude. Come on, man.
How about your mom then?
My mom, she's just a firecracker, dude.
How about a story about involving your mom?
Yeah.
Would help us to fully understand who she is to you.
Gosh, I think my mom and dad balance each other out because my dad was this hardcore, angry man, whereas my mom is super loving, just super affectionate, too much affectionate. You know what I mean? Everybody loves my mom. The fact that she went out of her way to make sure that we look presentable every day. She would dress us up the same. And I think if she had the chance, even in middle school, she would dress us all the same. My mom was set out toothbrushes. Our toothbrushes was out with toothpaste on top. Our clothes was like on the bed. Like everything was there. Except she couldn't cook. She didn't know how to cook. My dad would be the cook. People think that I get my comedy from my dad, but like it's really from both of them because they're so real, genuine, real. Like it's sometimes like draw a picture of my mom being really stupid because some of the stuff that she does is, but she's being real. Like I took my mom to upcountry Makawao to the rodeo. And it was like Portuguese Festa week, right? And they had one silent auction. And my mom was at the silent auction doing this. I'm like, what you doing, Ma? It's a silent auction. I go, no, you can talk on silent auction. Okay, why did it say silent auction? Stupid. They should say talking auction. Why did it say silent? No make sense. I'm like, oh, Ma. But like just genuinely Portuguese. How's that? She's genuine. And you just gotta laugh at that. I'm gonna interview her, by the way. That's gonna be a fun interview. Cause I like know why we know more traditions in our house. I like know why you don't have family recipes. You know, I like know all these things. Because my dad did most of the stuff.
So even though you're gonna interview your mom and so on, sometimes it's hard to say something to them because they're there, right? What would you like to say to your mom that maybe you haven't been able to say to her when she's there in front of you, Klang?
Like, I'm very thankful, Ma, that you took the time to make sure that we were well groomed and we always treated people with kindness and respect because that's what you did. You led by example. I'm very thankful that people know you as a genuine, kind, respectful, happy-go-lucky person. And that was really passed on to us. So I'm very thankful to you, Mom.
I want to acknowledge you, Augie. Thanks for coming back again, joining me.
Yeah.
I think you're my second one that came back. Jeff Watanabe is one.
Oh, wow.
You another one. Now we're kind of starting to bring in some more from the past.
That's why I wanted to do your show.
Yeah.
Because of the people that you had on. Again, it's all full circle, right? I went, man, I'm doing something different.
That's why I wanted to have you on, just give you some validation that you're more than a comedian.
Thanks, man.
Right? People out there that look at it and go, oh, it's just one guy being funny. But I see it. I see the hard work.
It's so
I see
bad.
how it is with your family.
Oh, man.
I see how much you love your mom and your dad, even though you make fun and so on.
You got to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge you. Yeah, thanks for
You got to be
joining me.
that's one thing with comedy too. You got to be self-deprecating, right? You do that, you don't hurt nobody.
Mm-hmm.
People go, either feel sorry or they go, oh, yeah, I relate to that. Yeah. They deserve that. They give me lickings a lot.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.